make a quick video here about meditating and journeying. Normally, I wouldn't give anybody any advice on how to do things like this because I think it's a very personalized adventure that we have to discover for ourselves, and what works for me may not necessarily work for you, and vice versa. However, last night I discovered something about myself that I think would be crucial and pivotal for someone who, like me, sometimes has difficulty with visualization exercises or basic journeying and meditating. It's not always easy for me because my mind wanders and I get distracted very, very easily. Like my new show here, Between Two Cats? So one thing I noticed about myself is when I'm not in the right frame of mind being one that's conducive towards visualizing, meditating, journeying, and even reading, okay? If my mind is not in the right place and I'm reading a book, within a few sentences, my mind will start to wander. And a funny thing happens. I'm able to visualize without any issues because there's no conformity around it. There's no one way of doing things. My mind just kind of does what it does on its own. And that's the key here, is what I want to try and get across. If you're like me and you have trouble meditating, you have trouble journeying sometimes, or even reading a book, let it go. Just let it go. Let go of any expectations you have of how it should be, that you're not doing things right, that there even is a right way to do these things. There's not. There's the way that works for you, and there's the way that doesn't work for you. So let me give you a few more examples. Let me go back to the reading thing again. So for reading, for me, certain days, not always, today was one of those days. A medium effect, we'll say. Not severe, but not inexistent either. So every day I do some reading. I read a few pages from my book. As I was reading today, I was able to get through a page and a half, and then whoops, my mind would wander somewhere else. And when I catch myself doing this, I'm already in a visualization. Like, the mind wanders to a place where some of the subconscious concerns maybe reside, where some of our worries and our stresses maybe live. Sometimes it's just seemingly random, although I don't think it really is. There's bits and pieces, there's truth there. But the mind goes where it goes. And when I catch myself doing this, I realize, oh crap, I'm in a full-on visualization. I'm in a meditation without even knowing it, because they're very bright visuals. It's like I'm there. And I didn't intentionally do that. It happened all by itself. Let me give you another example. So last night we take a lot of meditation, shamanism courses. We were in one last night, my wife and I. And again, I was having trouble with the visualization exercise that we were doing. We were doing a guided meditation, and I just couldn't get there. And it went on for 10 minutes of just struggling to see things the way that the guide was explaining it. And after about 10 minutes of struggling with this, I just let go. Just forget trying to do it that way. Let's just let go of the mind and just go blank as much as possible. And let's just see what happens. Then, all of a sudden, things started happening left and right. So sometimes it's just a matter of letting go of expectations, of images, right? That's a big one for me, is I work up these images in my mind. And if my reality doesn't match that image, there's often a quite significant discrepancy there, enough to take me out of my comfort zone, enough to disturb my thoughts. But if I let go of this attachment to the image, not a problem. Then all of a sudden the images that I need, the lessons that I need, start to come. You see? So if it's a guided meditation, let's say you're walking to your sacred space. You're going through a forest. The guide is taking you through a forest with imagery of trees and a pathway, and then you get to this one sacred space, and then you maybe go through a portal. If you're able to visualize it the way it's being explained to you, great, no problem. But if you're like me, or if the typical conventional form of guided meditation doesn't work for you, or maybe just that day it wasn't working for whatever reason, maybe you've got a lot on your mind, try just letting go. Because when I stopped following what the guide was telling me to see, or suggesting that I see, I found my way almost right away. And everything that we were supposed to do in our journey started to happen all on its own. And sometimes you may sit in a what appears to be a dark void where nothing's happening, and you have to think that, well, two things. One, maybe that's what you need. And two, be patient. Let it come. Maybe you need to sit in the void for a little while until the images, until the visions start to come. That's what happened with me. So I got to the other side, and I actually was able to accomplish everything I wanted to and then some in the journey, even with some time left over at the end, where my the character that I had gone to see in the journey basically said, okay, you know what you need to do now? Spend the rest of the time just resting. So he even knew that I was a bit tired and could use the rest, and I sure did need it, because I almost fell asleep in the last few minutes of that journey. So all that to say, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Don't try to conform to any static way of being or seeing things or doing things. My friend Nick at the Mind Orchestra, check that out, themindorchestra.com. He's fantastic for helping me to suss this stuff out and realize that there's nothing wrong with theory. You can read things in a book. You can read the tales and the adventures of others and learn from others. There's some fantastic teachers to learn from out there. But in the end, you are your greatest teacher. And you will teach yourself things that no one else could possibly ever teach you. And in knowing that, the experience becomes your own. And you stop trying to conform to certain things, and you just kind of go with it. And that's the idea, is learn the theory, but then be flexible and resilient enough that you can make it your own, because that's where the insights really start to come, is when you make this practice your own. All spiritual practices, I think I can safely say, are like that. You have to embody them, you have to internalize them, externalize them, you have to make them a part of you. They have to become a part of your experience. And then everything just becomes so much easier. So that's all I wanted to share. I hope it's helpful for you. I hope anybody out there that's like me, that struggles with this sort of thing, if your mind wanders, then just let it wander. Or maybe, if it's a book, for example, maybe that's not the right time to read. Maybe put the book down until you can focus, until you can deal with some of those things that are occupying your mind. Because if you just try and push them out, it's not going to work. It's going to just be frustrating, and it's going to stress you out. You're going to think there's something wrong with you, and there's not. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just your mind is going elsewhere, because that's where it needs to go. So maybe it's not a good time to read. Maybe it's time to close the book, put it aside for a day, and then go do some meditating, because clearly your mind needs to wander. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know what you think. Of course, drop me a comment, and let me know if you have any questions or if I can help you with anything. Of course, my services are available. If you would like to work with me, I'd be happy to meet with you and discuss. But otherwise, I wish you well. Hope everybody's doing good. Friday Junior today, Thursday, February 22nd. Hope you're having a good week so far, and you'll have a good weekend coming up. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.